Headline number 5, Albertsons has introduced a new service called Flash, designed to provide online order pickup and delivery in as little as 30 minutes. According to Chain Storage, Albertsons customers can place Flash orders via its website and apps at the same cost as purchasing an item in store. Shoppers can select up to 35 items for Flash pickup or delivery, and when choosing Flash, their orders will be delivered within a 30 to 50-minute window or ready for pickup at their local store in 30 minutes or less. Members of the company's Fresh Pass delivery subscription program will receive complimentary Flash pickup service and a discounted Flash delivery fee of $2 per order. All other customers can utilize Flash pickup for just $3.95 per order or Flash delivery for $11.95 per order. John, you are a resident grocery expert on this show today. If we break this down, is Albertsons just essentially charging for 30-minute pickup? Do you think we're going to see other retailers go in this direction? Like what do we make of this headline?
Yeah, I'd say when we get to grocery, this is one of my favorite topics because somewhere along the way, somebody decided that customers need products in 30 minutes. I don't know who decided that, right? But I don't know where the demand is coming from or what it is, but it's a big topic that everyone wants things in 15 or 30 minutes. But it's repeatedly been shown that it's not possible because every order loses money and you're in an industry that's already wafer thin on margins. So why have we decided that we're going to create this kind of process that's just going to lose a load of money for these retailers? So I think what Albertsons has said is great. If you want something in 30 minutes, that's awesome. And I'm happy for you, but you got to pay for it because it costs us money, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a very clear decision by Albertsons to say, we can offer you same day pickup or 2-hour pickup or whatever for no cost, because that doesn't cost us a lot of money. But if you want it faster, you got to pay for it. So I think a lot of people are going to move in this direction. And it's just totally logical for me that you charge for something that costs you so much more money. Albertsons are just ahead of the curve. I don't know. Like I said, I get a bit kind of worked up on this topic because it became this like buzzword for a couple of years that everyone wants to deliver things fast. And then there was some reports that people were losing like $200 an order, right, to get this stuff working. It was a fallacy from the beginning, and this proves it. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's just an easy decision by Albertsons. And if they're the last people to do it, I'd be really surprised.
Yeah. Chris, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with John, and then actually maybe even raise the stakes a little bit. I think the interesting thing about this announcement is we've seen a rash of announcements that are similar to this. And by that, I mean retailers charging for things that used to be free. Mm-hmm. So like just this past week, you have Amazon now charging to keep ad-free Prime, which is really, they're $2.99 to keep ad-free Prime. Zara and H&M now charging for returns. You know, those are just some of the recent examples. So I kind of think this is only the beginning, and these announcements are heralding this age where I think the e-convenience free lunch may soon be over, is how I would phrase that up. And so I wouldn't be surprised if you actually start seeing some retailers, maybe not all, but some even charging for curbside pickup, because there is an added expense to that than just coming in your store to shopping. So I've made the comparison before, and I think it's very appropriate here, that it's kind of like the airlines in the past. You know, you've got, especially in the grocery industry, you've got a business model that is under pressure. And therefore, the economics of it, you need to find new ways to do it. And so you're going to have to adapt to survive. And the one way you can adapt to survive, like the airlines, is you start to charge more for the value-added services that people want. It's the same thing that's happened in that industry for the past 20 to 30 years. I think this may be the start of seeing it happen in the grocery industry in particular.
Yeah, I think the airline comparison is so good, Chris, because it's also like something that they can lever up or down or implement things like they're talking about here, where if you have the subscription to Albertsons program, like then you get free delivery the same way you would if you're a premium customer in an airline or something. So I think that makes sense that they're just trying this to see what happens. Does it decline? Do people even want it? Like John's saying. Kelly, what would you throw in here?
Yeah, I would totally agree with Chris here. I think that grocers, and it's not just grocery, even we're seeing it on the retail side, apparel, you know, people haven't figured out the best way to optimize this e-commerce model. Margins have been shrinking, especially as people try to increase the services that they're offering. So I think this is just one example of many ways people are trying to figure it out. So I definitely think that will continue.
But I think that makes complete sense. The last thing I'd throw in here too, and John, I'll get back to you for the last word. But the other thing I think could be really interesting here that is not about the consumer necessarily here and the speed of pickup, but also like, I think it'd be really interesting to see what they learn and how much is involved from prioritizing these 30-minute orders. And then when you start to think about like a place like Costco, where like, could you fulfill a 30-minute, could you put in your 30-minute order, but you still want the discovery experience? So like you walk in and you shop for 30 minutes and then you're picking up your order on your way out. Like, I think that there's other things operationally that these retailers can learn from trying to fulfill in this shorter time domain and still provide like an in-store experience perhaps, or it's, you know, if you pick it up in store, you don't have to pay the fee, but it's still ready in 30 minutes. Like, I think there's a lot of experimentation that could happen in this, but John, I'll give you the last word here.
I also think that it's a trend that we're seeing in grocery, but all in like food in general, of trying to bring the consumer back to physical retail.
Yeah.
Because when you're shopping online, this is like, it's a little anecdotal, but if you're shopping online, you can make very clear decisions of, well, I don't want to pay $4 for that one, I can pay $3 for this. So you're losing the impulse, and we are seeing fairly consistently that the margin, the gross margin in those online baskets is lower than the gross margin in the in-store baskets.
Yes.
And so this is another way to try and say to people, well, you're going to pay extra for it, but then you should come to the store instead, and we can try and get more margin out of you that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's also part of this play to bring people back in for impulse purchases too.
All right.
Yeah. The other thing I'd say, Anne, too, is like, just to close it out, like this headline was really interesting for those listening too. Like it's about a week old, but Anne and I were looking through the headlines and it both caught our attention for the reason that we said. And it was great to have a discussion about it too, I think, Anne, like in terms of hearing everyone's points here, because it does sound like it's more important than it probably was given credit for in the media at the time. And
absolutely.